Hello. Welcome to another exciting episode of Mr. Black Explains. Now, today we're going to talk about adding, subtracting, and multiplying decimals. Now, most of us should know how to add, subtract, and even multiply regular whole numbers. But when you throw in decimals, sometimes they can be a little tricky. So let's go ahead and begin. So if I have 4.9 and I'm going to add 2.3, okay, first off, when I'm adding or subtracting decimals, I need to line up the decimals. No matter where they're at, they should be aligned because the decimal is just going to go straight down into the answer. Okay, see how they're lined up. Okay. Now I'm going to add my numbers just like normal. So 9 plus 3 is 12. So I got 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've got 12. And then I'm going to carry my 1. Now I've got 4, 5, 6, and 7. So my final answer is 7.2. If you use a calculator, you do 4.9 plus 2.3, you have 7.2. Okay, let's do another one. Let's go ahead and do 3.84, and we're going to add 0.5. Okay, so you'll notice I don't have anything here. Now, the only time I add a 0 after a decimal is if I have another number behind it. So if I had 0 and a 2, or 0 and a 5, or 0 and an 8, I might have a 0 here, but I leave it off because it's useless. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and add straight down. So I've got my decimal here. Okay, just going to bring it straight down. Now 4 plus nothing is still 4. So we're going to bring that 4 down. And then we have 8 plus 5 is 13. So I'm going to bring my 3 down, carry my 1, my 10th. Now I'm going to go 3 plus 1 is 4. So my answer is 4.34. Now let's look at subtracting. So we've got let's do 3.91. Subtract that. Let me see, 2.11. Okay. So we're going to subtract now. Same thing. We line up our decimals. So my decimal is going to come straight down. And then I'm going to take my 1 minus 1 gives me 0. 9 minus 1 gives me 8. And 3 minus 2 gives me 1. So my answer is 1.80, or I can go ahead and just get rid of this and just say it's 1.8. Okay, now let's say we've got 5.3 minus 2.14. Now you'll notice that I have nothing up here, but I need to subtract something. I can't subtract a 4 from nothing. So in this case, if I have a I need a number up here, I'm going to go ahead and put in a 0. My 0 is going to be my placeholder. Okay, for a subtraction problem where I need to be able to subtract from it. Now, I go ahead and do this just like any other subtraction problem. So I'm going to bring down my decimal. Now, 4 minus 0, I can't do that, so I'm going to have to borrow from my 3. Turn that into a 2. Turn that 0 into a 10. 10 minus 4 gives me 6. That's a case where my mouth is getting ahead of my brain. Okay, so 10 minus 4 gives me 6, and 2 minus 1 gives me 1. Then I have 5 minus 2 gives me 3. And I have 3.16 is my final answer. Okay, now let's do a multiplication with decimals. Now this can be a little bit different. If I have 2.8 times that by 1.3, okay, I'm going to just do it like any other multiplication problem. So 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 2 is 2. Now if you'll notice, every time I move over here from the 3 to the 1 and so forth, I move the next column over. So each time I move over, I move it. So if I had another number here, the next one would be lined up here and so forth. Now I'm going to go ahead and add them together. So 4, 16, carry the 1, gives me 364. Now we got to determine where we need to put in the decimal. Okay. Now if you'll notice, we have 2 decimal places. We have one right here and one right there. So we have 2, which means we need to bring the decimal over 2 spots. 1, 2, and it's 3.64. Okay, let's do another one just for fun. Okay, so let me see, 6.78 times that by 2.13. Okay, now if you'll notice, we have how many decimal places? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 decimal places. So we need to account for. So let's take a crack at this and see what we've got. So we've got 24, 21, 22, 23, 18, 19, 20. That's my first line. Now I'm going to move over to this column here. And remember, we move over 1. Every column we come over, we move over 1 each time we bring it down. So 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 7 is 7, and 1 times 6 is 6. Now we've got the 2. So 2 times 8 is 16. Carry the 1. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Carry the 1. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Now we're just going to add those together, see what we've got. So 4, bring that straight down. 8 plus 3 is 11. Carry the 1. 7 plus 1 is 8. Plus 6 is 14. 6 plus 1 is 7. 8, 9. Plus 5 is 14. And then 1 plus 3 is 4. And then 1 comes straight down. Nothing to add to it. Now I've got to determine where my decimal place is. So I've got 2 decimal places here and 2 decimal places here. That gives me 4 decimal places that I'm working with. So I start here at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my answer is 14.4414. Okay. And then sometimes you might end up rounding. So in this case, I might round it to my nearest hundredth. Okay, and I always round, when I'm dealing with money, always round to the nearest cent. Just like cash registers will do that automatically. If it's half a cent or more, they'll round it up to the next penny. If it's under 5 cents, under half a cent, then they'll round it down to that penny, so forth. So whenever I'm dealing with money, I always round it to the nearest hundredth. Okay, let's do one more just for fun. So let's say we've got 3.12, and we're going to multiply 0.3. Okay, so we've got that right there. Now we're just going to go 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. And then I can do the 0 if I want. 0 times anything is always 0, right? So 0, 0, 0, 6, 3, 9, 0. now I know I've got how many places I'm working with. Well, I've got these two here plus this one here, so I've got 3 decimal places that I'm working with. So I'm gonna bring this over 1, 2, 3. So my answer is 0.936. The reason I like to have a 0 in front of the decimal if there is no whole number is just I think it was better, and it just it makes me happier to having that there. So anyway, not a huge deal. I mean, if you leave it off, but in most cases, I tell my students just leave the 0 there. That way we know there's no whole number that needs to go there because we know it's already a 0. And that is it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Leave positive comments. Please like, subscribe, hit your notification bell up in the corner. Hit all so that we can so you can get all new notifications. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you.